Knighthood Podcast 2024 season review, brought to you by embi Optimal Oral Care. We're going to be going through the season in full detail tonight, give you our take on the results for the season let's go through the agenda. Probably the easiest thing to do here. Let's just bear with me for a sec. We'll go over the season results. We'll have a look at the club review. We've got some notes there on Adam O'Brien and his coaching performance. We'll have a look at the entire squad player ratings that James and I have taken the time to go through, and everyone's got a number next to their name. The Knighthood Player of the Year. We'll be going over that and announcing the Knighthood Player of the Year. Betting review. We made a 40% return on investment for the year, which is pretty phenomenal for 6 months period. Really stoked with that result. So we'll run over some details of how we achieve that. And then 2025 roster. We'll have a sneak peek in the Bible, in the spreadsheet that I've been working on for 7 or 8 years. That's got all the ins and outs of the roster. And I've updated that, so we'll have a good look at 2025. And then we'll sum things up, wrap the show up for the year, James. And we don't have a Mad Monday, so we'll have a Mad Wednesday.
Absolutely, yeah. But Mad Monday, Mad Wednesday for me will be going back to work. So today's my Sunday. So I won't be able to get too loose.
And before we get cracking into the content, shout out to Angelo. We're going to give out some unofficial awards, mate. You've been our best supporter this year on the Knighthood Podcast. So from James and myself, thank you for chiming in. That's been cool to have you there. And we appreciate the support and appreciate you tuning in. So, Knighthood Player Supporter of the Season goes to Big Bad Angelo. Thanks, mate. Round of applause. There we go. Gets the yes as well. Woohoo!
Legend.
Fun tonight. It don't have to be so serious. It's going to get a bit serious soon. So let's get into it. James, the results. Well, let's go over it. That's what we're here to do a review. So round 1, Knights, we lost to the Raiders, went down 12-28. And in a lot of ways, James, that set us up for, I think in hindsight, we could probably look at that match and I didn't have good vibes after that loss. I really was very disappointed. I thought that we got out-coached by Ricky Stewart and outplayed by a weaker squad at home to start the season. What are your thoughts on that first match?
Yeah, really disappointing performance. I was actually a bit concerned in the previous trial game against the Storm.
One. Yeah.
In the heat. I could see some I could see some issues in that going into round 1. And then the Raiders basically pulled our pants down, and we tried to start the season the way we finished the previous year, really upbeat, playing expansive footy, and we didn't earn the right to do that. And the Raiders just ran over the top of us in the end. And Sticky sort of pulled our pants down round 1, and it sort of summed up our whole year. It was just sort of a bit all over the shop, not a good start.
That's it. In my view is that it set the tone for the season, and it showed that O'Brien really just didn't get it right with the squad in the off season, and that just went through the rest of the season, unfortunately. And this is a review, but moving forward, what we've got to see next year, mate, is we've got to see this side hit the ground running.
Yep. Yeah, because 2 years, this year and the previous season, we left it very late. We had last year. We were out of it pretty much leading up to that Dogs game, weren't we? So we've got to get these starts way better and just not leave all that hard work to do at the end and put that much stress on the team.
And Angelo, that's right. And Angelo's chimed in and basically said it's a bit underwhelming after last year. And look, ultimately, Angelo, mate, we're only 1 win short of what we got to last year in terms of progress into the competition. Bowed out in round or first round of the finals. So, yeah, it was underwhelming. I think based off the expectation, James, that we had from last year overall.
Yeah, and I think we sort of touched on it throughout the season, though, that maybe that 10-game run or whatever it was sort of glossed over some stuff that was there, that we just sort of were focusing on this run and, you know, what they could do rather than what sort of happened leading up to that 10-game run. And we sort of, maybe certain people just expected that form to continue, and it's just not realistic, you know. It's a new season. Different things happen. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I thought it was a step down this year, but again, you know, we made the first round of the semis. I think we should have beat the Cowboys in that game. So we could have been looking at week 2, really.
Yeah, I think that's a game we could have won. We definitely, you know, it just comes down to Ponga passing on the inside to Gamble, and we take that out, basically.
Yeah.
So, you know, the Cowboys got through and we lost, and that's all she wrote. I think in the review of that finals match, James, I remember bringing up the stats that showed that our attack was much worse this year, and our defense, even though that O'Brien basically came out and made it that we had improved. I actually think, you know, we go back to that. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it was quite damning that we've actually gone behind. I think there was even more points scored against this year, even though we ranked better in defense. So ultimately, it was an underwhelming season, and the numbers don't lie. I mean, we went behind, and it was a year that we should have went forward. I think it was great that we made the top 8, but really we scrambled in there and we never really had a chance to progress. And I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the grand final, the performance of both of those teams, and what do you think our chances are of, you know, let's say if we made it there, I mean, would we get flogged? Do we have a chance next year to kind of compete with Melbourne and Penrith?
Well, I mean, both teams in that game pretty much, particularly the Panthers, set the benchmark of how pretty much. I think I might have texted you after the game, where I think I texted that both teams were so far above. I mean, I think Melbourne lost the game, but their defense was ridiculous on Sunday night for a losing team. Penrith were just strangling them. But in saying that, I think that whoever played either of those teams, if it was the Sharks or another team, they would have got pumped by quite a lot of points. I still think we're a fair way off of competing with those types of teams, particularly going off mid. You know, like when you're playing regular rounds, a Panthers team, for instance, can go up a few gears, to be honest, in semi-final football. So what you get mid-season is completely what you get, different to what you get, like, say, on grand final day. So it's hard to really gauge that, you know.
Well, it's like I pointed out during the season, we lost both of our games to Penrith by 8 points, and it just seems like to me they were in cruise mode, you know, second gear, five gears in the gearbox. So we got a long way to go. And look, I guess at the end of the day, that the start to next year, we'll definitely get a vibe pretty early on. You know, that first round, I mean, we don't know who we play in the first round next year, but looking at that match versus the Raiders, it set the tone for the season, and we could have really learned a lot from that. You know, we'll be looking at that with like a hawk, you know, in 2025 to see how they've come out. You know, the trial form is really irrelevant at the end of the day. I think it's just that first round match next year, the Knights must win that, and they must start well if they're going to do anything decent next year. Look, you know, there was a number of results. Angelo's chimed in again there. We'll try and chime in as much as we can, mate. So you reckon that the Cowboys and Cronulla, they were two matches that we should have won. Now, obviously, they were close losses. One was in Golden Point. The other one didn't go to Golden Point, did it, James? The Cronulla one.
Oh,
I did. No, both for Golden Point. Yeah, both
they
Golden
were.
Point.
Yep.
Two losses in Golden Point. So, what do you think there? Do you agree with Angelo? And the question I'm going to ask you, mate, is what number one? Do you agree with Angelo? Yes or no? And then number two, on the first page here, or even the season. No, we don't have to go to the second page. But are there a couple of matches there that you thought we should have won?
Yeah, look, I thought we got thoroughly outplayed in that Raiders game, but we were, from memory, in the Cowboys game in round 2, leading 12-0 at halftime, I think. And the Cowboys
at halftime, and we got out to 20 to 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought we should have won that game, but I don't think we put enough points on them in the first half. We had a lot of possession. So definitely that game. I think it was the Roosters game, but there was also some external factors which we won't get fired up about refs. But again, and but Angelo's 100% correct though. Both the Cowboys and that Cronulla game, I thought we I think there was a similar thing where we made a bust and bombed it as well. So was it in that game? Yeah.
Gay guy just needed to pass the Ponga, and all she wrote, we won the match. So look, if we won a couple more matches, we'll get to it in a second when we come to the pass or fail on the next slide. But ultimately, we needed to win 4 more matches to make the top 4. If I was to look through this list here that's in front of me, I would say, for sure, we should have beat the Raiders at the start of the season. We got it wrong, and I think that was mainly our coaching error. We should have beat the Cowboys. We didn't. Had the game won. I thought we did well to beat the Storm at home. But they were without their spine there. But they did have a pretty full strength roster apart from that, so that was a good win. We played well against the Warriors in New Zealand. I thought probably the Knights 30-10 win over the Dragons in the wet was potentially our best win of the year. It was in the top 3 for me. That was for sure. I remember saying that was a top 4 performance in my eyes after I watched that. And that's kind of, it took them 4 rounds to kind of warm up. But that they were looking good. And then they had that match won against the Roosters. And I believe that the ref, that was on the ref. I think we did enough to win that match at home. Then we lost to the Bulldogs. That's the match that Ponga got injured, and we were diabolical. I went to that match, and it was a horrible watch. Terrible day. Worst performance of the year, in my opinion. And then we had that run, remember, through the season. We had the night we beat the Dolphins, and we started playing Slogfest. This is where Slogfest footy was coined, James. And we beat the Dolphins by 4. We beat the Warriors by 6. We beat the Tigers by 6. And then we beat the Titans by 4. And that was the start of Slugfest footy. And that was all without Kalen Ponga. Then we had an absolute shocker against the Bulldogs. And I think that was off the back of a bye. Well, we should have won that match. And we just we didn't. We played terrible. And I guess that kind of highlighted really where we were as a footy team. We won 4 in a row, and then you have a bye and you come home and you play the Bulldogs, and they touched you up, in round 7. So in round 13, we had every reason to be aware that they were going to come and give it to us, and try and pull our pants down. And that's exactly what they did.
Didn't fire a shot.
Yeah, didn't fire a shot. And then we went down to Melbourne and a close loss to the Storm. That was also a match. I think the ref had a pretty heavy influence, and we did enough to win that. So we were right in there, very competitive, and we lost by 8 to the Panthers. That was a match where it was pretty close there for a while. So we were in it, and then we roll on, and we had a really good win against the Eels, and I think that was the first match that Ponga was back. And he was electric, and I think he was playing really well because he wanted to play State of Origin. And that's probably why he came back for that match. He aimed for it, and he did well to do that. Then it was Origin period. We got up over the Raiders, and you're thinking there after we win those 2 games and Ponga's kind of back on the scene. But I really believe that Origin affected us badly when we lost Gay Guy and Best, and we got smashed by the Eagles. That was a really tough period there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we got exposed big time in the centres there. I think that day we had at Brookvale, we had Dylan Lucas and I think Thomas Cant was in the centres that day.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was a tough day for those boys. And then I thought we just put in a really. I was down in Newcastle for my old man's funeral at earlier in the year, and it was for around the Broncos time and we put in a horrible performance. So yeah.
So the Origin period, we didn't handle that. We only had 2 players out, but ultimately, they didn't get that right. It's kind of like we're going up and down in waves here. It's like we're doing well, getting close to the good teams, putting in wins on the trot, but then it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Sometimes it was a roller coaster every year, hey? And then so we rolled through that. Then after that shit game against the Broncos, we went to Penrith and we lost by 8. Like I said, I think Penrith probably got the 3rd gear, maybe 4th gear in the last 10 minutes. Cleary scored, they win.
That's it.
And then it was really everything was on the line, just like 2023. So we had the Tigers, James. We were kind of calling that game as we thought the Tigers might pull our pants down there. We thought there's a chance that if the playing group wasn't backing O'Brien, that we would throw the game. Players might not play for O'Brien. And I reckon there was an element of that in Kalen Ponga's game for a few matches around that time. He wasn't really, playing to the best of his ability. And I don't really think he was 100% happy with everything that was going on. But look, we did win that match, and then we come out and we had that really close loss to the Sharks. And actually, after that win versus the Tigers, and this was the bet of the year when we landed the Knights at $8, around $8. I can't remember, it was $8.20 or something, or $8.40. I really did some analysis there and looked at the NRL ladder predictor, and I thought the Knights are still going to make the 8, and I announced that as a bet, and we landed it. So that was the heist. I could see enough in us, and then I could see enough in the draw to basically predict that outcome that I thought we'd be right there. It'll be very close touch and go, and that's how it panned out. And I predicted the Dragons would drop off at the end of the year, and that's exactly what happened. So, that was a good run. We probably should have won that match against the Sharks, as Angelo touched on, and then we did well. We smashed the Rabbits away. We smashed the Titans at home, and we really showed some good signs there in that second half for about 20 minutes, especially with all the local boys chiming in. That was probably my favorite 20 minutes of the year. Thomas Cant and Dylan Lucas, Matt Croker, they were all playing really well, and Ponga was in good touch, and then you got Fletcher Sharp in the wing. Really, I think that's kind of the fabric of the Newcastle Knights footy team. These juniors coming through, aiming up in first grade at home. Really, that was my favorite moment of the season, actually. And then we came out in that Dolphins match. It was all on the line, and we got up and we bloody won, and that was great. The boys fought hard, and it was a bit of a slogfest, and we got it done. Ponga, played really well, got us home, and then, that's the season. And I mean, ultimately, if I go back and look at any more games there that we should have won, well, I don't think there's any. I mean, apart from the Sharks game, I think everything kind of panned out pretty well. I thought we should have won that game against the Broncos, and we were really off, and they weren't on at all. That was a terrible performance, actually. I'd nearly say even the most disappointing match of the year for me was that Knights and Broncos match. When they really should have aimed up and won that match, especially after getting the Origin guys back. But I guess they were backing up. They just didn't handle it. The Broncos were off. We bombed so many chances in the first 20 minutes, but look, there you go. We reminisced on the year. We obviously, we remember the details pretty well, It's the first time I've done that, but I remember all these games really well. And Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. I guess that's the easiest way to sum it up.
Yeah, and I think some of our issues as well were sort of, I don't want to say that they were overly due to the players. I think a lot of, we'll touch upon the coach a bit later, but you know, they had a hard time, or certain players had a hard time being shifted around, and he just didn't get it right with certain decisions, and
Yep.
you know, which I think made it harder than it needed to be. You know,
I agree, and we'll run over that in a little bit more detail in the next slide. So I think we're getting to the club and the coach review, and ultimately we had 12 wins for the season. We had 12 losses, one final loss. We had 50% win record, and O'Brien's overall record is at 46%. Performance, we had a performance rating, so every time I thought that we turned up and played well, I gave them a rating of 75%. So basically they turned up 3 times out of every 4 matches and played really well. So, you know, if you win 75% of your matches in the NRL, you're going to be in the top 4, and that's where we need to be if we want to be aiming, you know, to be in prelims and grand final contention and premiership contention. I thought the effort overall was good. I thought the players overall, they played for the coach. And ultimately, I think what you touched on there, James, is that I really think the coaching staff got it wrong this year.
Yeah,
I think we had the cattle there to do a lot better. If we, for example, if we were coached by someone like Bellamy or Cleary, I think we had the potential to make the top 4, potentially make a prelim. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say we should have won the grand final, but you know, with a different coach and a bit of a different game plan and a bit of a different team selection, maybe we would have been better. Any team can say that though, and the reality is that's what we achieved. So overall, we give it a pass. The Knights made the finals. O'Brien saved his job again, and he gets his extension because we finished better than 13th. So we were 4 wins short of the top 4. Now, my season prediction at the start of the year is that I thought we would be in contention for the top 4. You can go back and watch that season preview if you're interested. But yeah, I was pretty much spot on. I said we would make the 8, but we would challenge for the top 4. Most likely, I said we would make the top 8. And I wasn't quite as strong as you, James, to pick us making the top 4, but
yeah,
you know, I was close. I thought we had the chance to make the top 4 this year, and I thought we should have been aiming for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think I was a bit maybe a bit too emotional based on the finish of last year in my predictions, you know. So you know, I'll be a bit more wary of that coming into 2025.
Look, we had an improved roster, and you would have thought that off the back of that, we would have had a better start to the year. And if we had a better start to the year, we would have probably made the top 4. So, I mean, in hindsight, better start to the year, manage the origin period better. And for fuck's sake, get the squad right. We'll get to that. We're getting up to that. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. So, I've got some notes here in a club review. We're not going to spend a lot of time here, but ultimately, you know, the Newcastle Knights, they have a very strong club, you know, since 88. We've been in there for, you know, a long time now, 2 premierships, best fans in the league. And let's have a look at some stats. So average home attendance in 2023 was 21,312. Average home attendance in 2024, James, is 22,635, which is an increase of 1,323 per match. And I figured it out off an average ticket prices and an extra 500K to the bottom line of the club. So one of the things that I've touched on this year is I think we're a mediocre football club. And, you know, at the end of the day, if more fans are turning up, it doesn't really matter to the club and the people in these staff in these positions. I mean, yeah, it matters, but does it really matter when the numbers are going up? They're comfortable, and they're not accountable to. They're mediocre. This is this is what I don't settle for as a Novocastrian who grew up. I was probably, how old were we, James? In 88, we were about 8 or 9.
Yeah.
We were there. We were there cheering on the Knights, running on the field at the end of the matches, playing for Barrow Bears. And look, we just, unfortunately, we just, I think the fans are, it's not enough to make the top 8 with what we have as a club. We've got the best supporters in the league. Let's run through this. We've got West Group, who is a very good business. They secured the financial. We've got financial security, basically. We've got Philip Gardner, who's a pretty switched-on CEO. I mean, he's not overly football experienced, and you can see that in some of the things that come out in the media that are questionable. But overall, with the backing of the West Group and Phil Gardner, he's done a great job. And, look, the crowd figures are going up. So surely, they're good business people. They're going to be running more profitable, or there's more money to invest into the club, for it to be successful. So whether that's staff or pathways or whatever they decide that they want to invest this extra funds into. And then, we live in a salary cap year that's increasing next year as well. So there's no financial instability. And all this comes down to now, it comes down to performance of the people in the club. Okay, so it starts in the back office, people who are leading the club, and it comes down to the coaching staff, and then it comes down to people like Peter O'Sullivan to get the roster right. Now, this could be potentially a masterstroke, bringing in Peter O'Sullivan. I've made that note there. But he's only there now. And, basically what's happened this year, we've missed the top 4 again. And I would say, though, we are building. I think that's a good sign that we've got O'Sullivan there. I mean, Peter Parr, there was news that he was going. He's applied for the the St. George CEO role. I don't know if he's got that or if he's going to leave, which is a little bit concerning. But he's a pretty well-regarded bloke. Looks like he got O'Sullivan there to the club, which could be the best thing he's done for us, even if he leaves. And the Pathways program now, James, is working well. So we've got great juniors. We've got financial stability. Looks like we're getting the right people in the club, especially Peter O'Sullivan to manage that roster and a bit of the mistakes that they've made there. I guess the big question mark now will come in terms of what decisions they make around the coaching staff and whether we've got the cattle there to actually do the best that we can with Kalen Ponga, because he's the type of player that can get us a premiership. But it all really comes down to now, is that squad roster management and the coaching staff. And if we get those two things right, the formula's there for us to be a top 4 club, to be like a Melbourne, to be like a Penrith. We've got the junior nursery just like Penrith do. So let's go. It's all there. We've made some mistakes, and that, I guess, reflects in our results and our inconsistency over the last 5 years of Adam O'Brien. But we are moving into an era now where, from our point of view, from the United point of view, we're here to rate performance of the club, of the coaching staff, of the team. We want to see top 4. We want to see prelims and grand finals and potentially premierships.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look at what you've got there written down there, there's fantastic sort of foundation. And there were periods in the past where the Knights had, it was a bit of a shambles at that level, like we're in a good position when you look at it, and they've got to get it right. Look, I'm not convinced with AOB, to be honest, as like taking us to the next level.
Yep. So I've gone over to the Adam O'Brien review now. You've segued into that well, James. So
okay, well, yeah.
Oh no, and spot on. So look, O'Brien's overall record, as we touched on, is 46%. He's had 5 seasons as the Newcastle Knights head coach. He's got a strike rate of 25% in the finals. 1 win, 4 losses. 3 losses.
Yep.
1 win, 3 losses. 25%. Brian is 46 years of age. He's still, pretty young dude. I like him. I I can't deny that. I think he looks like he's a good bloke, and I think we can see from the players' performance this year, James, and their effort, that he must be a good bloke. They played for him, but I've had to call him a muppet a couple of times. In the last episode, I was very passionate about his press conference. And look, here's a highlight, and here's something to illustrate my point here about O'Brien and our mediocrity as a club. I mean, look what the Broncos just did. They just sacked Walters, who's got a very, I think he's also been at the Broncos for 5 years. So this is a good, kind of comparison. 50% strike rate, at the great Broncos club. And he coached State of Origin as well. He had a 50% record there, 50% record in NRL. In NRL finals, he actually had a 66% strike rate, 3 wins and 2 losses. 2 wins and 1 loss. So, and guess what? He got sacked, and he's got a much better record than Adam O'Brien. So, we as a club, we really got to make the tough decisions. And if we don't get off to a good start next year, James, and if we're seeing signs that this club hasn't got it right with O'Brien, and we've got the cattle there, we've got the squad, which we'll go through at the end of this. I mean, Kevin Walters had 2 years left on his contract. What are we going to do? Are we going to say? Are we going to do what the Broncos have done? Because I reckon getting Madge Maguire in there now, which we could have done, we could have hired
Brad Arthur or something
now. We could have also got Brad Arthur right now. One of those two. I mean, maybe we should have went for Maguire. He did a brilliant job there in State of Origin. Maybe he could have came in and, for the next 3 years got us to a premiership. I've got my doubts. I would have fired O'Brien. If push comes to shove, what do you think? Would you have fired him?
Look, there are times during this year when I 100% would have pulled the pin. I just can't see us improving to the level that I think the fans and just what Newcastle expects and deserves. The worst, if we end up with him, if he fulfills his contract and we limp into the finals for the next few years and we waste away Kalen Ponga's best years as a marquee player, that's an absolute tragedy.
Well, just on that, Angelo said the same thing. He said it's a bit like what you guys said, use these Ponga years wisely and get a quality team around him.
Yep. Yeah. So, I'm with you though. Next year, if it's not happening and he's just not cutting it, I think they've just got to make tough decisions. But I don't think the Knights are as cutthroat as the Broncos. I don't think they'd make that choice, to be honest with you. What are your thoughts?
I think they need to be. If we want to be a top 4 challenger that goes for prelims, grand finals,
you have to be.
Yep. So that's what we're all about. We're going to hold the club and the coaching staff and the team accountable to that standard. Why not? We've got everything there. It's not like we're the Tigers, in a rebuild phase, and we don't have we are on paper with all the things that we just ran through in terms of the club. We are definitely a top 4, consistent top 4 challenger. Definitely always should be a top 8 team. There's just no excuses.
I think coming into 2025 as well, we're going to have, it's exciting because with a couple of guys had sort of breakout years this year. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how, your Dylan Lucases and these, Fletcher Sharp and these guys like really progressing. I mean,
well, you've done it again, James. You've segued us into the next segment. So we're going into the player ratings now. So look at, Adios O'Brien. I think for me, I would have sacked him. I would have sacked him last year, but that's just me. And James is giving him next year if we don't aim up. We definitely have to. As Angelo's made another comment here on the screen, we've got to be ruthless. Club's got to be ruthless. Let's get into the player ratings here. And all right, so this might not be so easy to see on the screen. Can you see that all right, James?
Yeah, I can get through that. I am squinting, but I'll do my best.
Well, I'll read them out. So,
yeah, no worries.
Okay, so for me, I'll run through my entire squad. So I gave Kalen Ponga an 8. I thought, the best way you can sum up Ponga is the last match of the year. I mean, the commentators glorify Ponga. They look at all the good stuff he does. There's little things that he does that are not great. He made mistakes in that first half against the Cowboys. He had the weight of his shoulder on the team. He did some brilliant things, but when push comes to shove, from a champion player, right? If he's a champion player, he would have hit Gamble on the inside, and he would have also kicked that goal that hit the post. That was pretty close. That would have gave them, I think, a 2-point lead, and then he would have put Gamble under the sticks, and that would have been an 8-point lead, and it would have been over. So he's not there. Ponga's actually not there yet, but will he be? Yes, he probably will be. If you get the right players around him. I mean, if you had him in the Penrith team or the Melbourne team, he'd be an absolute superstar. So it's just, you got to take the pressure off him. And that's I guess that's probably why he made those mistakes. He couldn't carry the weight of the team on his shoulders as it is. Anyway, I gave him an 8, even though there's plenty of upside there. He could be an 11 or 12. Fletcher Sharp, 9. Could you ask much more from this guy? No. Armstrong, same thing. They picked Sharp over Armstrong. We never saw him again. I think he played 3 or 4 games, but he was outstanding. I gave him a 9. It's a shame to see him leave, really. Marju, 7.5. Terrell, not a great start to the season, but he really came strong towards the back end of the year. Tawala, I thought he was pretty consistent, as he always has been. I gave him a 7. Gay Guy had a really consistent season, but just really, they're same as Ponga. There were some moments in these big games where he really did let us down. But God, his effort all season, most consistent effort. Oh, should we give out some awards? I think Gay Guy was probably our most consistent effort player of the year. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, either him or Dylan Lucas. I thought Dylan was fantastic. But Gay Guy, great season. But yeah, he did. I don't know if it's because he's getting older or whatever. He just made a few uncharacteristic sort of choices in defense and errors and stuff. But I'm not going to let that sort of diminish the season he had. It was a fantastic season.
Yeah, I think the way we roll through this is we should probably just compare what we had in the scores. So, I mean, Ponga, you gave him an 8 as well. Any comments?
Yeah, look, Ponga was, when he was brilliant, and without him, we don't win certain games. So, and look, he got 3 points from both of us in quite a few games, and but overall, he wasn't consistent. He was out for quite a chunk of the year, so it just shows you when he's on, and he is our most influential player. And he's always gonna, and he's gonna be our best player. But yeah, he's got to work on that consistency and sort of just nail those big moments. I mean, you alluded to the fact that not icing those moments, you wouldn't see a Dylan Edwards or a Teddy mess that up. It just wouldn't happen.
I don't think so. And so looks like you agree there with Sharp and Armstrong as well. We were pretty similar ratings there. I went a little bit higher, but
Fletcher, couldn't have asked for more. I thought he was fantastic. I saw so much to like, in the way he played. He just attacks the game. He loves it. You can tell he's just excited to be out there and plays really up tempo. Really thought he had a great with the games he played. When he came in, it was just like once he came in, Tuala was gone. So he wasn't coming back. Armstrong again, he was really good for those games that he was, and it wasn't a theme, but obviously disappointing that whatever happened there contract wise, and he's on the outer. So yeah.
All right, well, let's whip through it a bit. So Marju, we've both given a 7.5. We probably don't need to go into that. Or Tawala, you gave him a 6.5. So we're pretty similar there. Gay Guy got the 8, and we kind of touched on that. And I thought Bradman Best just chosen for Australia. Congratulations.
Yes.
Yep.
There you go. Bradman Best, the beast in the Aussie side. Well done. Okay. What else do you need to say? Just hopefully he can stay fit next year. And same thing for Kalen Ponga. That's the last thing I'll say on Ponga is if he just can get a full season in and we get the right combination right in the spine, then we'll be in the top 4. And maybe we will make a prelim. So, and a lot of that's going to come down to the roster over the management over the off season, whether we can do that next year. So
who we got up next?
Jenkins was a dud of the year. Terrible signing.
Is that an award?
He even released himself from his contract. He had another year to go. He could have actually stayed. He must have been pretty unhappy.
Dud of the Year award.
Dud of the year. There you go. Jenkins. Adios, mate. Get out of Newcastle. Nothing personal. Probably a good bloke, but God, probably one of the worst all-time Knights players ever. Christian Mapalangi.
We're going to be cutthroat.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to be cutthroat. Mapalangi, we invested a lot into this kid, and he was a dud as well.
Didn't see much in.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
We got to call it how it is, and we give the glory and we give the whip. So nothing personal, just on performance, and I think ultimately with Mapalangi, he just didn't seem to have the composure and made errors and had the talent, had the physicality, but no, he just not to say that he couldn't develop that in the future. He's still pretty young, but time for him to move on from our roster. And then McCarthy, well, he had one game and he played well. We gave him, looked good, looked real good. And so that kind of wraps up the fullback position and the outside backs. Looking here at the half, so I've given Hastings 6.5. You've given him a 6. Cogger got a 6 from me, 5 from you, 6 for me for Gamble, 6 for you for Gamble. And Price, I gave him a 6.5. You gave him a 6. So underwhelming for our halves, yeah. And I think ultimately that comes down to Adam O'Brien. Adam O'Brien not getting it right, selecting the right players and backing them. However, he did get it a little bit closer towards the end of the season. He made a tough call with Crossland going in there. But we've just got to do better in that area. And, we'll go into the roster at the end, but for 2025. But I think I in my team in the season preview, which you can go back and watch, I had Will Price as a 6. And I think if we started with Hastings and Price as our halves, which is what I wanted to see, and if the coach backed Price in like he backed in KPP, he didn't hold KPP back. They should have just chucked him in. But it's easy to see, Jack Cogger, he's got a premiership ring, and it's easy to see why some respect was given to him, and he's also a local boy and more experience. So, but ultimately, I really think they should have brought Will Price into that side a lot earlier. And I think he played 3 games, he won 2 and lost 1. So he didn't really do too much wrong, and he was never given the opportunity to really show what he's capable of. So, any comments, mate?
If you look at all those halves there, Hastings, Cogger, Gamble, they're not like ultra dynamic players, are they? They're very sort of what you'd call steady. Price is the actual.
He's the X factor.
Price. He's the X factor. And I don't think, just my opinion, AOB, I don't think just the way he likes to play, especially with how Slogfest sort of came into being.
Yeah.
I don't think he wanted that type of guy there. I think he just wanted a guy who did what he wanted.
You nailed it.
Yeah. So I think he was just on the add up just because of the nature of his style of play.
Yeah. Yeah, they use the excuse that his defense is no good, but when they put him in, he played pretty well. So look, I thought if they brought him in a little bit earlier, it could have made a bit more of a spark to the side. He left it too long, especially when Gamble was injured as well, right? So
But our team was crying out for a spark. We needed it. Our attack was lackluster, to say the least.
Rubbish coaching selections. They really got it wrong, and that's really what I think. That's why we didn't make any further this year. So he got it wrong, O'Brien, and he's got to get it right in the off season. So what about the forwards, James? If you look at those numbers overall, there, I mean. Daniel Safidi, 7.5 for you, 7.5 for Jacob for me, 6.5 for you. So Thompson, 6.5 for me, 5.5 for you. That's low. And then Hetherington, 7 for us.
Yeah.
Then we've got Elliot, the Kettle, 6.5 each. Crocker, 7 each. Brody Jones, 7.5 for me, 7 for you. That would actually rate Brody Jones. They're the highest. Out of all of the players, and guess what? He's still unsigned. He's the one guy there that doesn't have a contract for next year. Matt Croker's just re-signed for another season, which is good news. But Bad Brody Jones, him and Daniel Safidi got their highest ratings there, but really that's not. You need some players in there with 8s and 9s. There's no leader in that pack.
I think there is, but he's on the bench.
Hetherington's.
I think he's the man. I didn't see enough. I didn't see enough from Leo.
Player of the year, Jack Hetherington.
Well, that's why I rated Leo 5.5 because I thought there were particular games where
you know what, with Leo Thompson, I compared his physicality. In terms of weight and height compared to Fisher Harris, and he's actually a bit heavier and same kind of height, same kind of a dude. But he's not there yet. He's still young. Even the Safidi boys were at the start of the season saying that he's our enforcer. He's the leader of our pack. Didn't happen.
Didn't see it.
And this is another thing on O'Brien. Why the fuck? Why he just. Ever since that Bulldogs game in the tunnel there with Marnie, he was off him again. Why doesn't he just think it's up to him as a coach to bring out the best in Hetherington? He's got to play aggressive. That's his nature. Let him play aggressive. He's in a cage. Get him out of the fucking cage. Do your job and coach him properly.
But I think that's a problem across the board with certain players in the team. He's trying to
conservative style, right?
Yeah, like he's trying to restrain their natural tendencies, and of course, you can't have Jack going out there and just being a complete tool. But he can have.
Well, what about Hardgraves? What about he gets suspended and they embrace it?
Yeah. I just think
they embrace the enforcer of their fucking team. Now I'm going to start swearing a bit because, you're right, mate. I think you're right. He's the guy, and he showed that. He's very talented. Gus Gould says that this guy charts off the map in terms of his physicality and his performance and his fitness and all this stuff, his speed.
Yep.
This is why I'm not excited about next year, because O'Brien, I think he's got it wrong too many times. He should have been sacked.
I think, so mainly what stands out with all those guys, I thought Daniel had he got better as the season went on. That's why I had him at 7.5. He was our best forward towards the end,
when his contract was, when he got put on notice.
Yeah, true. I thought Jacob was injured for a bit, wasn't he? But he went down not this year after playing Origin and stuff.
I also thought that was a massive snub for Jacob. For Daniel Safidi. Did you know that in the presentation at the Knights, they gave Jacob Safidi life membership at the Knights, and Daniel Safidi got shown the door. I thought that was really, really ordinary from the club. I was astonished that they would. Why would they do? Why would they rub it in Daniel's face? Why wouldn't
I didn't?
I would go as far as saying this if it was me. If I was judging that, I'd give Daniel Safidi life membership, because he had to go through that whole. He's a junior. He came through the system, right?
Yeah.
And he went through all of that period. He became a state of origin period. Sorry, origin player.
Yeah.
He came through 3 wooden spoon years with the rebuild years. He put up with a lot of shit, and he was there. He's part of the fabric of the side, and they've let him go. Fair enough, but the club got it wrong. They overpaid him. So anyway, and I just thought that was they've given Jacob Safidi. Why would you do that? Something's wrong there.
Yeah, it's a strange decision. I didn't know about that. So thanks for bringing it up, because I didn't know about it. But that's bizarre. And look, I thought he was the better of the brothers this year. Elliot was never really.
I thought Jacob was
major highs.
We'll disagree there. I thought Jacob was really good before he got injured, and I'm glad we've kept. Personally, I'm glad we kept Jacob.
Well, we were talking about it earlier in the year that one of them, they needed a change, didn't they? Or Daniel did, and he'll probably go to the Dolphins and kill it. So
he will. I really think separating them is going to be best for both of them. Really believe that. And maybe Jacob can become the leader of our pack now. Hopefully we see maybe the promotion of Jack Hetherington into the starting side, James. So that might be one of your season predictions for next year.
Well,
But yeah, I mean, we all of these, we'll get to the squad. We'll come to that soon. And let's go to the back row, mate, which we performed. This is what you want to see. 8 for Tyson Frizzell from both of us. Kai, Pierce, Paul, 8 from me, 7 for you. Dylan Lucas, 9. Pair of 9s.
Fantastic
Miles
season.
Martin didn't play, and he's out of the squad. He's moved on to Canberra. But yeah, just back row, we've got great talent there, and we'll get to it soon. But we've signed great talent there as well, and we've got emerging talent there. We don't have an issue in the back row for this club in the squad moving forward. The players that are currently there, I'd go as far as saying it's hard to not put my head into next year. I'd go KPP and Lucas in the back row and put Frizzell on the bench. That's my take. But I mean, what are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts overall on the back row for this year with our scores?
Yeah, look, I thought they were pretty damn strong. I mean, KPP started really well. He sort of hit a bit of a plateau, didn't sort of go any further, but he by no means was he, did he sort of have a shit end to the year. He just sort of didn't sort of kick off on further the way we thought he would. Yeah. But in saying that, again, we were talking about players being sort of hemmed in by the style. He's got an offload on him, but he just didn't seem to be able to.
You're making me angry now, James. You're making me angry.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew Johns came out and said it as well.
Yeah.
He coached out of him. You've nailed it on the head. You're making me angry, mate.
But yeah, look, I thought he had a really good season, considering, he's come out here, he got thrown in the deep end, started the year. I expect him to improve a lot next year.
Imagine how he would have went if he was, let off the leash a bit.
Yeah, and I think AOB's really got to look at that and not be so. What's the point of having these talented guys if you're just going to make them all into clones and robots? You need these guys who are
spot on, mate.
Said. They're talented. They're talented. Let them exercise that.
Well, coach to the strengths and coach to the weaknesses, and put it all together. And God, the more you look at our squad, if we had Bellamy, we would have potentially made the. We're in there making top 4s, prelims, grand finals, and contending for premierships. But get on anyway. Sorry, with Lucas, what's your take there?
Yeah, close to probably could have been our best player of the year, to be honest. Considering the obstacles he had to deal with through the season, as far as getting shifted quite a bit. He was playing. I know he's played centre before, but he never really got to settle too much. He was getting moved around and
most consistent. I'd give him the most consistent award of the year.
Yeah, he just handled it and he just got on with it. Played fantastic. He's just a really skillful player. I just think I really rate him and definite future representative player. That's for sure.
potentially.
Yeah.
I'd give Big Bad Brody Jones the Clubman of the Year. That's another award.
Yep. He really improved, I thought.
Yeah, no, he did. God, he was monstering them in the semi-final. It was.
We hadn't seen that. They couldn't get him down.
No, we've never seen it. The monster came out and Big Bad Brody. He just stormed. God, it was great. Loved it. Got to see him re-sign the Goanna. Please re-sign Brody Jones. Don't let him go up north. I know there's talks of that. So, mate, we're getting through this roster. We're nearly there. And then we go now to the hookers. We didn't see anything of Riley Jones, did we? I don't think he played a match. And then, so we've got Brayley. I've got to say, I've got to give him an award. What do you give him?
Most resilient?
Yes. Great award, James. Well done. You're on fire, mate. On fire.
Yes.
Excellent.
I'm pulling out the buttons tonight and all. So, look, most resilient player of the year, Jaden Brayley, coming off a second ACL. I think he played every game this year, mate, and he's a good player. Like, he makes 50 tackles a game and doesn't make many mistakes. He's not overly flashy. He definitely he has got something missing. He's never going to be a top line hooker. I just don't think he's I don't think he's strong enough with his leadership and maybe between the years when it comes in attack and, getting the team around with the halves. Yeah, it's hard. He's good. But he's not great. If we're going to win a comp, is he our guy? I don't think so. But I guess we've given Crossland a pair of sevens. Is he our guy? Is he our hooker? Take us to a grand final? I don't think so. I think he's our 14. What do you think, James?
Look, I like Phoenix at hooker. I loved it when he was there last year. Defensively, he's incredibly strong. And but in saying that, I just, again, he's another player who I thought had a tough year as far as he just couldn't settle down. He was just all over the place, and that was to do with what AOB was doing. And, yeah. So, I think I don't know if it's his. I mean, when we saw him play hooker halfback this year, I thought, look, he can do it. But I actually thought he looks better either at the 14 or in the hooking position. So
he's our 14.
Yeah,
100%. He can fill in hooker. He can fill in the halves. He can fill in lock. He's our 14. Full stop.
But does that make Brayley a long-term proposition at hooker? I think we need way more dynamics out of dummy half.
And we will get to that when we get to the end section and we'll go over the 2025 squad. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. It's coming up. We're going to get the Bible out now, have a look at the full roster and the predicted best team for next year as the roster stands. Okay, player of the year goes to Kalen Ponga. I can't use the yes because it's been overused.
Yeah.
Going to give him a clap. James, give him a clap. Kalen Ponga.
KP. Very influential in the games, and when he's on, he basically wins games on his own, really, doesn't he? He can be the difference. So yeah, I mean, congratulations to him. He won it. He took it out, and he missed 10 games, didn't he, this year, from what I remember, or maybe not that many, but
a bit less than half. Yeah.
Yeah. So we definitely need him on the field more. That's for sure. But I don't think he hit the highs of what he sort of did towards the end of last year. But in saying that, I think we rely on him too much. But hopefully we can sort of rectify that in the coming years and get some guys around him.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, and then you got Bradman Best was the runner-up, so he gets a silver medal, and Dylan Lucas gets a bronze. So overall, imagine if Kalen Ponga was fit for a full season. We can only we can only imagine. And imagine if we had the right squad around him. I think we do, Ed. I think we're 80% of the way there. But well done, Kalen Ponga. Knighthood Player of the Year for 2024. There's no prize. It's just for the glory.
Excellent.
Okay. Now, mate, season betting tally. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but look, the result is there.
Looks good.
Well, mate, yeah, it is good. 40% return on investment. The aim this year was 25%, which will still be the same next year because 25% is an outstanding result. We got 40, and that was probably off the back of getting that top 8 bet at the end of the year. We would have been around 25% if we didn't get that. So, look, what can I say? At the end of the day, tune into the United podcast. If you want the good oil, we got it. That's an outstanding result, and we're going to keep refining our process so that we can continue to have the best tips in Australia for the Newcastle Knights. And one thing I'll say, James, is that even after the bowing out of the finals, I didn't bet in the finals, and then just, looking at the games over the finals and trying to predict games without doing a full analysis, it's pretty risky, and it's a lot harder to do if you don't do this process. And I really think the process that the formula that we came up with, it works. We've proved it. And you were the rookie of the year, and you made a 9% return on investment. So you beat the bookies. If you bet with the bookies and just back the Knights head-to-head this year, you would have lost 7% of your money. So James, as a rookie's come in and followed this system, and he's made a 9% profit. So I think that's a great effort for your first year, mate.
Thank you.
And you'll move into next year with that under, a winning season as a rookie is a really good effort. And you've got some really good lessons there to go into next year with. So overall, very happy. From my point of view, there was 36 bets in total at a 76% winning strike rate. Very high. Average winning odds, $2.10. So over $2, which is great. Live bets, I did 71%, 10 wins, 4 losses. And, yeah, couldn't be happier with this. If I could get that every year and lock it in for the rest of my life, I'd be rich. So one thing we're going to incorporate next year, James, is it's quite a popular thing. It's the same game multi. And we will use, I think there's a thing called Dabble, which we'll be able to, I think people are into these, same game multis, and we'll do a tally on same game multis for next year. Whether you want to do that or if I just put up those tips, we'll decide that over the off season, but you might just want to keep going for your head to heads. We'll figure it out, but ultimately, yeah, we're going to add a bit of juice, a bit of fruit juice, a bit of pineapple juice in there next year. So there'll be a bit more fruit, a bit more excitement with the same game multis. And there might be a potential to make a really good profit there if we get that right. It could also be pretty risky too. It's not the head-to-head is what we're going to hang our hat on. But, we'll add a bit of fruit in there with the same game multis, and look forward to doing that again next year with this foundation to work from. Rightio. Well, I think I'm going to skip this one. We're not going to go to the Bible. We're going to go to a message from our season sponsor, embi Optimal Oral Care. embi Optimal Oral Care are our season sponsor of the Knighthood podcast. They have a range of zero plastic oral care products that are best for you and best for the planet. You can check out their full range of products via Chemist Warehouse online. Find the link in the description. Okay, so Knighthood podcast. Look, we give thanks to embi Optimal Oral Care for being our season sponsor. 29 episodes, so it's been a great season. Thanks for your support. Products that are best for you, best for the planet. Rethink your oral health today with embi Optimal Oral Care. And you might have been hearing this message a lot this year if you've been tuning into the podcast. So what we've got is a 20% offer for the first time and the last time this year. It's the code TKHP. Type in that code TKHP at embi Optimal Oral Care, and the website address for that is optimaloralcare.au. So type in the code, you'll get yourself a 20% discount. You've heard it all season. Go there now and buy a tongue scraper. If that's my tip. James, you've been using the tongue scraper. What's your sales pitch out there to everyone?
My sales pitch. Oh, just give it a go. I mean, I'd never tried the tongue scraper until you got me onto it, and it's fantastic. It totally cleans your mouth. You know, prior to that, it was all about the mouthwash, and yeah, I've switched over to the tongue scraper, and does the job. And I couldn't recommend it high enough. It's awesome. Fantastic product. So thanks to embi for the support this year.
And it's very, the stainless steel make of it as well, right? It's like very sturdy, and that's going to last you a very long time. Great value for money. Only $22.95, and with 20% off, you're getting it for less than $20. Wow.
It's a bargain. Go for it. And yeah, like you said, it's very strong product. It'll last you a long time. So for all the people,
and honestly,
give it a crack.
You can't buy a big bottle of Listerine for less than close to the same price as that with that discount. And what embi promotes is natural fresh breath. So when you get that bacteria off your tongue first thing in the morning, scrape before you brush, it only takes 15 seconds, and you get that crappy bacteria off your tongue. You don't necessarily need to rely on the mouthwash so much. And that's going to get you off to a good start to the day. And ultimately what that does is it improves the good balance of good and bad bacteria, and it's called the oral microbiome. So this here, for an investment of under $20 tonight, you'll be able to manage your oral microbiome, get that gunk off your tongue every day, save yourself money on mouthwash, and have better oral health and fresher breath. So don't delay. Jump on. If that's the only thing you do tonight, go and buy a tongue scraper. Use the code TKHP on Optimal Oral Care. That's optimaloralcare.au. Lastly, they also have earth-friendly consumables. Now, most oral care products are made from recycled or just normal plastic, which takes 500 years to break down in the oceans and, in the compost. And it's basically poison to the environment. embi, it takes about 2 or 3 years with the form of plastic that they use, which is made of wheat straw and cornstarch. You can get that in the toothbrush. You can get that in the floss picks, which are big culprits, to the pollution of our planet. They've also got a dental case where you can chuck all that stuff into and use it to travel. And our toothpaste tabs as well are amazing. You chuck it in your mouth, you crush and you brush, and it foams up. It comes in a glass container. You don't have to use plastic. It looks good in the bathroom. So that's it. Best for you, best of the planet. Get onto embi Optimal Oral Care, optimaloralcare.au. That's our biggest sales pitch of the year, James. Let's move on. Thank you, embi. Really appreciate the support this year. Okay. Last but not least, we're going to take a sneak peek at the 2025 roster and then have our final word. So it's what I call the Bible. James, in our fullback, okay, look, if you have a look there in the position on the right-hand side, next to the best 17, this basically breaks up the squad. We've got 29 players signed. We can sign 30, okay? So in the fullback position, we've got 2 signed. That's Pong, Sharp, rich. Stock is rich there, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I mean, if anything happens to Ponga, obviously Fletcher's going in there, and
yep.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the development guys. Who is that? Tyrone Thompson and
Connor Vitano is he's a fullback, and he played for New South Wales under 19s this year.
Yeah, so but I mean, yeah, Fletcher's obviously the main backup for Kalen, but he'll play on the wing if obviously if Kalen's fit.
And Vitano's a talent. Now let's move on to the outside backs. We have 8 positions that are needed in the roster. We've got only 5 signed. That's Marju, Gay, Best, Schiller from the Raiders, and Taj Annan, who's a rugby player, and he looks very capable. Newcastle boy, 21 years of age.
Yeah, I haven't heard too much about him, so be interesting to see how he looks. Saw a bit of Schiller at the Raiders.
I'll tell you how he looks. He's tall,
fit specimen.
He's athletic, and he's skillful. He could potentially play 5'8". but he has been touted as a potential winger. So what I like is
Mm.
they're picking on what we said with Moth and Drakey. Pick someone who's tall and athletic and fast. Well, that's the type. He might be that player, or he could be a smoky for 6.
Well, I mean, that's been a big issue for us, hasn't it? Like having those targets out in the wing to kick to or to even compete, because we just never really competed this year. And we just didn't have those types of guys. So, if he looks like a winger, then he's tall. I look forward to seeing him.
Yeah. So we potentially have there Kyle McCarthy that could slot in there as another addition there that would give us 6 out of 8. And then we're probably still a couple short. Now we've only got one roster position left. So if we're going to free up, we're actually under recruited here in this position, and we're a little bit short this year as well, but we got through. So those players in red: Hastings, Paul Bryan, Jaden Brayley, and Riley Jones. For me, I think it's going to come down to, are they going to stay or leave? Because we've basically got a full roster here, and there's not much room. And I mean, ultimately, the only thing you'd do right now, if you had all those players stay, is you'd bring in McCarthy, I think, and bring him into those outside backs and just make do of what you've got there. I think that's about all they can do. Their hands are pretty much tied.
Yeah.
So
I mean, so what's going on with Hastings at the moment? I saw something on the. Do we know what's happening there? Is he?
So in our halves, we've got in my view, we need 4 or 5, and we've signed 5. Hastings is there. We've also got Cogger, Gamble, Price, and a young up-and-coming player, Zach Hidgen.
Yep.
He's only young. But he's got talent. So, James, to your point, Hastings has been quoted as saying, "I've got a contract. We know he's on 800K. He's not going to get that anywhere else. He's not going anywhere. He's going to take his money."
Yep.
So we're stuck with Hastings. And this is what I would do. Right now, I would be getting Ben Hunt. I would be swapping him for Jackson Hastings. Both of them have a year left on their contract. Hastings is from St. George area, or the Shire. So not the Shire, the Wollongong area. I think that's where he grew up. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Ben Hunt's an Australian player. Bring him into the side. Put him in at halfback. And then pick your 5'8". That's what I would do. Because, Hastings is – they're not going to pick Hastings there again, or are they? What are they going to do, James?
I mean, what did we end with? We ended with Cogger and Crossland, wasn't it? In the halves.
That's not going to work.
That's not going to work. But, I mean, Hastings sort of looked on the outer at the end. I can't see him sort of being – do you reckon he's going to – I can't see him starting.
They're trying to get him out because they don't want to pay him 800K.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
Ben
the
Hunt
bottom
would be
line. Good. Well, I mean, it's there. It's there on the table, right? He's not happy. See if we could do the deal. Hastings is on 800. Hunt's on $1 million. You know, we've got one roster spot left. I think it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you bring an Australian player who's a halfback into this team and replace him with Hastings? And I mean, you might be looking at the big picture and thinking about what we're going to do in the next 2 or 3 years, but I mean, you got to look in the moment as well. And that, for me, that's my play. I'm putting it out there. That's what I'd do. But the club's probably got other plans. They probably want to see how Hidgen goes. They probably want to try and get the combination right with the stock that they've got there. And I just can't see it happening with O'Brien there. Another point to make is, who's going to be the attacking coach? I think Blake Green's leaving, isn't he? I'm pretty sure he's leaving.
Okay.
Or if he's not, maybe I got it wrong. I don't think so. I thought that he's going to be leaving, and I don't know who's going to be the attack coach next year. But one of the most important moves O'Brien's got to do is get his attacking coach right.
Yep.
Anyway, so it's looking pretty unsteady there. We'll run through the best 17 at the end. So I've got a take on who I'd pick out of those ones. I I've picked my best 17. I've picked what's most likely at this stage. But if it was me, I'd be picking Hastings at 7, and I'd be picking Price at 6. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Forwards, we've got 8 signed, and we need 8. So there's no more spots. And we've got Jacob Safidi, Leo Thompson, Adam Elliott, Jack Hetherington, Matt Crocker, Paul Bryan, who did nothing this year, Sebastian Sewer, who's been, well, they've basically chosen him over Brodie Jones. He's unproven. And then you've also got Cody Hopwood, who's a really promising up-and-coming prop, and he will feature in the Knights side moving forward. Then you've got, like I said, Brodie Jones hasn't been re-signed. He could slot in there. I'd be trying to get Paul Bryan out of the squad and just getting Big Bad Brodie in there.
I'm with you there, 100%.
So that's about all we've got to say there with the forwards. It's looking pretty steady, but overall, we've got to lift our performance there in that pack. That could come down to coaching, as we identified before. I think the stock's there. We've got enough stock. The back, well, we're spoilt with riches here. We've got Frizzell, KP. We've got 6 signed. We're oversigned by 2. So we've got Frizzell, KPP, Lucas Cant, and then we've got Francis Manueli, who's come from the Panthers, I think. And it's either him's come from the Panthers or Jermaine McEwen. Sorry, I know one of them is a younger player, I think junior from the Knights, and the other one's from the Panthers. Both are very highly touted and both very physical types. So they're going to feature in the future in this side. We're looking good. We're looking good with the juniors coming through, which is really, really exciting. We're stacked. We're absolutely stacked in the back row. And we'll move on from that quickly, James, and we'll Brayley. They've got to get this right. They've got Brayley, Crossland, and Riley Jones there in hooker. I've got Riley Jones as the utility. We only really need 2 hookers. Ah, God, what are we going to do there, mate? There was talk of Matthew Arthur signed, but I haven't actually seen anything official, so I don't know.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that, and then it's just obviously something's happened there. But getting to the hook position, I mean, I think he'll stick with Brayley, which obviously, if that's the case, you'd assume that
Cross is a 14.
But then does he put Gamble in there somewhere at 14? You don't know what he's going to do, to be honest. But
Gamble at 14, no, and Jones at 14, no. Jones, they shuffle him around at the end of the year in reserve grade. They moved him out of hooker and put him into different positions. So, yeah, there's some things that need to be done in the off season with O'Sullivan. Yeah, there's 4 players there in the red. They'd be better off if they weren't in the squad. And then we'd be able to make some final recruitment moves. And that might include re-signing Brodie Jones, re-signing Kyle McCarthy, signing Matt Arthur if he's not already signed. There's 3 players. So, and I'd be going for Ben Hunt. That's my call. If we want to be ruthless, chuck him into our squad and see what we can do with that. Coach him right, and maybe talk to Kalen Ponga and see what he wants, because ultimately you've got to build the side around him. He'd
get along with Ben Hunt. He's
fellow Queenslander.
Yeah. The issue is obviously I'm not sure how it works with those swaps, but I mean, would Flano want Hastings, and would Ben Hunt want to go to Newcastle? I think he's always wanted to head back to Queensland, hasn't he? So there'd be lots of nut out there.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not going to the Broncos, and where's he going to go? To the Titans? And if you think about it, at his age, what team's going to give you a better chance of winning the premiership? Do you want to go and combine with Ponga for a year and have a bit of fun in Newcastle? Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he might make, that might look good to him. But yeah. I wouldn't be against it. I'd be
the vibe around Hunt's not good there at the Dragons anymore. He wanted out of there a year ago, and now the club's tapping him on the shoulder. So come to Newcastle, mate. You're welcome. Open. Open arms. You even give you the keys to the city, mate. I'd be more than happy to see him come.
Bring it on.
So look, I'm going to run through the best 17. I've got Ponga there at fullback, and then Marju on the wing with Best and Gay Guy in the centres and Sharp on the wing. Cogger, I've picked there Cogger and Price. So Cogger at 7, Price at 6. But I did say Hastings. So really, if it was up to me, I'd pick. It's really hard. Cogger did show some good signs towards the end of the year. Based off what's happening, you'd have to say Cogger and Price. You've got to put Price in there and give him a good run. Or I think he's got more upside than Gamble, but Gamble's more experienced and does offer something. But anyway, I've got Jacob. Jacob, you can go through yours in a sec. James, Jacob. Jacob in the front row. I've put Brayley in there with Thompson. But now after what you've said tonight, I'd actually chuck in Etherington and swap him, put him on the bench. Or start Thompson at lock. He hasn't got some bad hands on him. Could be a good lock. I've got Frizzell and Lucas in the back row. I'd actually now swap that. I'd put KPP in the back row and have Frizzell on the bench. And Crossland 14. Croker's there as well. I'd probably pick Big Bad Brodie Jones, but he's not in the squad at the moment over Croker.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Any that's what I came up with, mate. I didn't give you the opportunity to do it. So would you remove or replace any of those?
The back line, I'm definitely happy with. The halves is a tough one, isn't it? I mean, it's look. I think if they're serious about revamping the attack and having some X factor there, Price makes complete sense. But
yeah.
Again, whether or not A or B wants to go down that path is different. So I assume he would go for like maybe a Cogger Gamble sort of halves. I don't think he's going to put Will there, but yeah, I'll be more than happy to have him there because I want I want more spark. As far as the forwards go, I'm happy with that. That's perfectly fine. Except I would move Hetherington into the starting lineup and Thompson back to the bench.
Yeah, and you've made me think twice tonight about that.
Yep, I think he just adds a bit more fire, a bit more of like you said with the Warrior Hargraves sort of comparison. And puts a bit of fear and he fires his boys up. I think he's getting underutilized on the bench.
100%.
So yeah, I'd do that. And yeah, Phoenix 14 I'm happy with. KPP off the bench, give him a bit more free reign to sort of
I reckon I'd promote him to the starting team since I've written this and thought about it more. So yeah, there's going to be plenty of shuffling around, isn't there? But
that's right. Look, you said you'd put Frizzell on the bench, wouldn't you?
I would, yeah, just because of his age and just the potential strike of KP. Once again, it's X Factor. You got to have the X Factor players there. Smokey could be Tarjanin for 5'8", potentially, or half. Yep. He's a big guy though. I don't think so for half. Probably not for 5'8". Who knows? And guess what? It's up to Adam O'Brien, who gets paid a lot of money to make these decisions alongside Peter O'Sullivan. They've got to get it right in the off season, and I wouldn't mind seeing. I wouldn't mind seeing them blooding the younger players through to really get this into a premiership in the next 2 to 3 years with Ponga there. But I would be more aggressive. I'd bring in Ben Hunt and Angelo agrees. Where's his comment? Here we go. He says that swap with Hunt sounds amazing, to be honest. Probably unlikely, but I'd say worth a shot. I agree with you, mate. And James, do you agree with us? Are you on board with that?
I'd love it if if they pulled that off. If you don't ask,
I think it's a great idea.
So
yeah.
Put it out there. Yeah.
Hopefully they're doing, making some chess moves, O'Sullivan, eh? Come on,
behind
mate.
The scenes.
Meant to be the master. Yeah, look, let's try Angelo in for the last time this year. With that roster, would you guys predict What's our prediction for 2025 season based upon that? It's not a weird question at all, mate. It's very relevant, and we'll answer it right now. What do you think, James? What's your season prediction for 2025 at this point in time, based off what we've got?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to go off like last year and go, this season earlier in the year and say we're going to make the top 4. Look, I think we definitely top 8, pushing that top 4 position, depending on, the style of play we play. I think we need to improve the attack. Obviously, things depend a lot on Kalen and if he's injured and stuff like that. But no, we have to improve on this season, and I'd love for us to, be pushing for that top 4 spot. And I just think if we can get some more points into us in that team and unleash the shackles, as they say, release the shackles, sorry.
Yep.
And just work out a thing that combines the defensive resolve and the toughness that AAB wants to or has brought to the club, the grit, but also allow the guys to attack. And I think if we can get that sort of balance, then we can push for a top 4 spot. But I think definitely top 8.
Okay, so that's James's response, Angelo, and
hopefully that made sense.
100% made. And we've got plenty of time to make our predictions. We'll do that early next year when we kick things off again. So I've got a take here. And it's kind of been a bit of a Nostradamus, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that if Adam O'Brien does not get this right and the club stick with him as a coach, at some point, Kalen Ponga, with he's got 3 years left, so he'll have 2. At some stage, one of these 2 next year, right? It's either going to work and they're going to forge forward, or O'Brien is going to be on the outer, and or Ponga. If they back O'Brien, Ponga might just start thinking, I'm not going to stick around. I want out.
I could see that happening. You could see some of those frustrating signs were there before we won those last week. You could see he wasn't happy. So there'd been that sort of vibe before. So I think if we don't get off to a good start next year, and things start heating up at the club, and that's the worst. That'd be an absolute tragedy for the club if we lost him
that's my prediction.
Out.
That's my prediction. Something like this is going to happen. I hope O'Brien gets it right with O'Sullivan. They get the roster right, and O'Brien, he needs to get a good assistant attacking coach in there, and he needs to. He's done a good thing with the slogfest, and I think that type of footy stacks up against these better teams. But he has to incorporate the X factor. If he incorporates the X factor with the slogfest, right, he gets the right attacking coach around him and keeps that grit with the defense. He's got McDermott there. He's a really good English coach. That's the key. We need a really good attacking coach. We need Adam O'Brien to evolve as a coach and to work with that and to work with the roster and O'Sullivan. If we do that and that all sings, we will potentially make the top 4 next year, right? It's possible, more than possible. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't have enough confidence in O'Brien, but I hope it does. The other alternate to that is that Ponga gets sick of the joint and wants out, and maybe he moves on, because guess what? Teddy Tedesco may not play another season beyond next year, and maybe you just want to go to the Roosters.
Yeah.
You heard it here. You heard it here first on the Nighthood.
And wouldn't that be a shocker? Like, if yeah. I mean,
well, I hope I don't have to come back and clip. I hope I don't have to come back and clip this thing, but there you go. Imagine
him slotting into that organization, he'd just tear it up.
Well, if it was me and I was Ponga and I wanted to win a premiership and we didn't get our shit together this next season, which we're really close doing, so I'd say it's more probable that we will get it together. But if we don't, I'd be out of there, and I'd be looking at going to somewhere like the Roosters.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't happen.
Hopefully it doesn't, but they've got money. They've got they've got a few big players left now, and they're going to be. I reckon they'd have their eye on Ponga right now. Uncle Nick rubbing his hands together.
Endless supply of brown paper bags.
Yeah. Well, we know Caitlin Ponga likes the other type of bags as well, based off the Delaney toilet thing. So, anyway,
let's not go there.
Let's not go there. So, Angelo's got another one here. Angelo's asked us a question. Now, well, I'm going to answer you. My season prediction for next year, mate, is that I don't trust O'Brien enough to give you one, mate, and I'll let you know. So tune into our season preview, mate. I'll read things over the off season before I make a judgment on that, but you've got some good takes from me there. So we have touched on this a little bit, but the question is, Angelo, how are you guys introduced to the Knights and become fans as such? And look, we have talked about it a couple of times, but we don't try and focus on ourselves too much, mate. But James and I, we grew up together in a suburb called Beresfield in Newcastle. Don't know if you know where that is. 25 minutes away from centre, Newcastle. Played for a team called Barrow Bears. Went to school, Beresfield, and mate, that's how we came together, and then we went on, and we moved and we went to Waratah High, didn't we, James?
Yeah, good days. I mean,
good days. We had a good footy team. At the Waratah High, we came third in the Buckley Shield in under 15s. That was
really
a statewide competition
back then.
Yep, and I went on to in 16s play for South Newcastle, and we won a comp in First Division, and then I think James won a comp with Stockton First Division in 17s, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it was 96 or something like that. Yeah, against Lakes, but
under 17s. Yep, and that was the year that Souths got robbed. 17s, we led the comp, and we had a player that was unregistered, and we lost all of our points. And then in the semi-final, we scraped into it. We lost something like God. It was amazing. We won so many games that year. We would have been first at the end of the year, but we scraped into 5th position after they deducted all of our points, and then we had to go and play Cessnock in a night match to stay in it, and that pest Kane Bradley. Oh God. That was the most. I was crying in the sheds after that. We lost by, I think, 1 point. I think he might have kicked the field goal. We lost.
Oh no.
And then, mate, we would have clashed, you and I. We clashed earlier in that season, I think, at Stockton. Remember that game?
A couple of disallowed tries from both of us, I think.
Yeah. I tried to storm over in the corner, and I think you were. Did you go? God.
I had 2 disallowed for forward passes.
Yeah, there you go. So
I think that was a close game though. I remember it being like 24-12 or something. You used one, but yeah.
So we would have had you in the grand final if we made it, mate. But you got lucky. We got ducked it, and you took it out. You got the chocolates.
Yeah, it was. Oh well, it was a cracking game. But I mean, yeah. So
they were the good old years, and then we kind of fizzled out. I won another comp in 18s at Souths, First Division, and my aspirations to become a Knights player kind of fizzled out. I wasn't at that level, that standard. I made some train-on squads and stuff as a junior, and I remember playing against Willie Mason in school football to make rep teams for Northern New South Wales and stuff, and God, he was a monster. We played with some really good players that went on to play NRL and stuff. Did anyone go through from your side in Stockton that you can remember, James?
Trying to think. No, I think what I remember from that period was a lot of the guys ended up playing in the Mariners development junior squads and stuff. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that was
Super
back in
League
the
days.
good old Super League days. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, not that really comes to mind. But yeah, I do remember Willie, like he'd always be playing in the games underneath us, and you'd see him out in the field before you go into the sheds, and he was a monster compared to the rest of the other guys.
Yeah, he monstered me in that. I remember playing him in that rep match trial. Yeah, I just remember getting smashed a couple of times by him. He was huge.
Because I think he was playing for the Scorpions, Macquarie, wasn't he, back then? From what I remember, he wasn't playing for Lakes. He was playing for Macquarie.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, he's a Toronto boy. Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to mate.
Yeah, Toronto Scorpions. Yeah, not Macquarie.
Yeah, Toronto Scorpions. Yeah, that's where we won our 16s final. So, yeah, mate, Angelo, we're reminiscing a bit here.
But I think he was to get back to what he also asked was the like with the Knights. What I recall was in '88 there was all that big excitement about the Knights coming in, and I was like a Sharkies fan. I love the Sharks. Mark McGaw, ET, all these guys, and But as soon as '88 came in, I was like
straight on the Knights.
Straight on the Knights, and I remember going to games in the '88. Like went to the first time the Broncos came, and it just the excitement around the town and that sort of stuff. And first time Wally Lewis was there, and it was just huge crowds on the hill. Fights on the hill when everyone was pissed, and like it'd be all it was
Marathon
just good times too. Yeah, so like I don't know, it was just from '88. It was literally you're into the Knights, and it just became a part of your life, mate. And you just absolutely loved it.
Yeah, no, it was great. Yeah. My best memories were I used to sit in the northeastern corner with my mum. She used to take me to the games, and I was a pretty vocal kid. I used to scream, and I was very passionate. But at the end of the game, I also remember getting on the corner, storm on the field, and try and get that fucking corner post.
Corner post.
The corner post?
You know what else? Yeah, the corner post.
I got it once. I think I got it once.
Yeah. Yeah, but I remember the corner
black
post.
And white. Also, the black and white corner post that goes around.
Yeah, it was like stripy. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And it was sort of made out of like a thicker toilet roll material or something.
Yeah. It's cardboard. Yeah.
But another thing I remember was trying to get on the field, and you'd like to go on and dive on the Winfield Cup sign and get all the paint all over.
Get all red, huh?
yeah. That was the big thing. So and you could just go on the field and kick the ball around. Yeah.
Oh man, man, great memories. Yeah, loved it. We were really lucky, mate, to grow up amongst that era. And actually went on the field with my girlfriend, I think last year. They let us on the field once. That was really cool, going for a walk. But the ground is very firm. It doesn't look so firm, but it's pretty firm.
Just before I end the reminiscing about the Marathon Stadium.
Yeah.
But do you remember when Chief used to come to Waratah High to train us at school?
Vaguely.
Yeah, like
what are your memories of it?
Because we used to do sport. It was like a part of our weekly sport thing.
Yeah.
People would go play squash or whatever, but we've done this footy thing, and every week, Chief, and I think it might have been some other players, but Chief was definitely there. He was there every week. He'd be encouraging you, and then doing all the drills and that, and then you'd go to your club game on the weekend. You'd be pumped because you'd been
Chief.
Hanging around Larrigan and thinking you're gonna, and then obviously you go and play Cessnock and get absolutely smashed. But it was good times, and you could actually see heroes close up, and
no, we Angelo, mate, we grew up in the thick of it, to be honest. Born and bred Novocastrians. I was born in Maitland. James was born in Waratah, right? Yeah,
Waratah.
Yep, Waratah. And you didn't go to my primary school, did you? You went to a different school, I think.
Yeah, I went to Medowie Primary School.
Okay.
Actually,
yeah.
And then right. we moved to Mayfield, and that's why I went to Waratah High.
Yeah,
but then I moved to Barrow. But yeah.
Yeah,
Glory
mate.
days.
Yeah, the glory days, and mate, we'll take it a bit further. So I'm enjoying thinking about it. It's good memories. We only live once. What about my backyard, mate? We lived parallel streets away, so our school was in between our where we lived in Barrow, and I had the full footy ground in the backyard, with had the lines marked out, and I made the post out of PVC.
Yeah, I remember the field.
How good was that?
Yeah, used to have these mammoth games with other kids around the town, and
fuck yeah,
yeah, we literally used to just go out there and smash every like it used to be really full on. Raining, if it was pouring rain, you'd be like getting soaked.
Oh, we love the rain.
There'd be some dog shit everywhere, and you'd be like, trying to miss the dog shit. But then once the footy season ended, you had a roller.
The roller,
The
mate.
pitch,
yeah,
you'd roll the
pitch.
Then we'll be playing cricket all summer.
I lived behind Stead Cycles. If anyone knows what that is in Barrow, it's still there, I think. And we used to go and buy the cricket balls in there, and the GM bats, and well, I was pretty poor as a kid, and we struggled, but we scrambled enough money together to buy some sporting equipment, and mate, that's how we grew up. Two Newey boys, and interesting. You reminded me, it reminded me there about the Chief and the Waratah. We had a good, that's a bloody good school where we had an awesome place that we played touch footy religiously all the time in our recess and lunch breaks. And
oh yeah,
I've got good memories of going to Farrer and playing in that match in the Buckley Shield and at the Waratah Oval as well. And we had Ben Donaldson, probably the best footy player I ever played with. Hooker, he played for the Knights only a couple of matches, I think, but he had Badiris in front of him. I think he didn't go on, but that's a shame. He could definitely have had a long career as a footy player in the NRL. But yeah, mate, we had, and unfortunately, I got to play on Marathon Stadium once for South Newcastle in a lead-up match before the Knights' main game. That was awesome. So I got to go. I remember going in the sheds, and they used to have this thing in the sheds where you touch it before you go on the field. That's what the Knights always to do. But geez, the Knights players know what it is if they ever watch this and shout out. But there was a sign that you hit on the door as you go out. I remember that. And I was lucky enough to experience a match there on the hallowed turf. And that's all I got. I got one match. I think I was on the bench as well. Came off the bench, but I was in a great team. Anyway, I got to experience it on game day. I was about 15, I think. So, and unfortunately didn't make it to play for the Knights. But what a good little reminisce there, James. And it's in our blood, Angelo, and we're still passionate about it. And here we are. We're both. I'm 44. James, how old are you now? You're the same age, right?
Yeah, I'll be 45 in November. So
same as me. Yeah, we're both born in November as well. There you go. Dynamic duo from Newcastle.
There we go.
Good stuff. That's pretty funny, actually. We grew up opposite streets, born in the same month, and here we are doing a podcast, mate. Good stuff, huh? It's been a good year. The brotherhood's real.
It's been an awesome year as far as, just to be able to go through it every week. It's been hard at times because of the nature of the season. And we've been through everything as far as, the Knights have sort of been up and down. And then we've had, what I was thinking of it the other day, we've gone through, there's been like flood, blackouts, sound issues, death. Everything's tried to stop us this year, but
rest in peace to the old boy.
Yeah, we've kept going, and it's been a really enjoyable season, and with all its ups and downs. So and that's just life anyway. It's nothing's ever perfect. You're just gonna keep rolling forward. So
mate,
looking forward to next year.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the world at the moment, and it's life's shitty for a lot of people. Maybe we're really. Thanks for running through that with me, mate. I really enjoyed reminiscing about the days as a kid. It's funny, I've been thinking about it a bit recently. So, we're so lucky to grow up in that era without games in our hands, fucking TV screens, and to have that kind of freedom and, grow up with sport and, just a good way to live. And we lived it, mate. So, and we shared it together. So, and it's awesome that we're doing this together. And, we're going to do it again next year, and we'll see where it goes and where it takes us. But hopefully we can witness a premiership together, mate. That'd be awesome.
Well, that's the goal, isn't it? If the guys, or especially the coach and the administration haven't got that as their main goal, then they're in the wrong game, aren't they? We want the success that everyone demands that. So let's
100%.
hope that they can really push towards that.
And when we're all couldn't agree more, mate. And Angelo, mate, thank you very much. You've been a really outstanding supporter, and
Cheers,
welcome
mate.
to the knighthood. I will get you a hat. I'm not sure if we're going to sell them, but I'll get you a knighthood hat at some stage and send you one. So thanks, mate. You've been a great supporter, and ultimately we wanted to, we're not trying to. The Knighted guys, they run a podcast that's for everyone, for the mainstream, and we're a bit more of a niche product, James, and we've got a bit more of a focus on more of a serious focus on the performance of the squad, and we're holding them up to a higher standard. And if anyone's just listened to our history, you can probably see why we're so passionate. So that's where it's at, and it's been a good year, James. We've done 29 episodes, and it's been great. And our betting results were awesome, and I think our takes have been really good, and I've really enjoyed it. So thanks, mate. That's been great. And looking into next year. Sorry, just bear with me for a second. I'll run over some things. So look, thanks to everybody who's tuned in, and subscribe on YouTube. If you want the good oil, follow the knighthood. Join the clan, join the tribe. Subscribe, like, it all helps. And we can also, you can get us on the audio. So shout out to everyone on the audios. We do have followers on Spotify and Apple on iTunes. So thanks for tuning in and being a part of the season with us. And we're also on socials, Facebook and X. X is more for the game day announcement stuff, and there's some stuff there on Facebook. Looking, I guess going into next year, James, we'll keep the same Tuesday format, same time, same place. And there's going to be some improvements with the betting. We'll add in the same game multi. We might have a betting sponsor next year. We may have a website. We may sell a bit of merch. Probably not. I'll probably just give out hats to the best supporters of the knighthood. We're not really trying to capitalize on this too much, but we're going to keep it niche. And there'll be some things that we do. I've got to do my own personal review, and I've got a list of things there. Then we can have a chat, James, about what we do next year. But count on this show going ahead live on Tuesday nights. That's what you can count on. And we're going to do our very best to have the best takes and to take the money from the bookies. What's your final word, James?
Yeah, mate, I just want to thank you for the season. It's been a good ride. Thanks, it's been up and down, like I've said quite a few times this year. I also want to thank the people out there who've joined us every week, and particularly guys like Angelo. Just it's really great to see the fans out there sort of chime in, and it really makes it exciting for us to answer some questions, and it's really cool. So I'm excited about what next season holds, but really enjoy my time doing this year, and I hope the people out there really enjoyed it as well. So bring on next year.
Yeah, well
after
said,
a little
mate.
break, of course.
After a break. We definitely achieved our outcome this year, which was to, number one, do an episode every week and get some runs on the board, put some good content out there, and make a profit betting. So we achieved it. and we haven't really promoted it too much because we wanted to get the runs on the board and build credibility. So unlike the mainstream media and a lot of these Muppets in the media, we're going to do this the hard way on no budget and just based off skill. And I think we've aimed up this year, James. I'll give ourselves a pat on the back, and I back ourselves to have good takes. And yeah, look, I wrote a few articles and towards the end of the year and stuff. So there'll be other stuff that we do next year. But yeah, well, here we are. We're at the end. And it's been the longest episode of the year. So I don't want to bore anyone anymore. Yeah, marathon. The Marathon Stadium of, we're committed, mate. We're committed. That's for sure. Don't forget to go and buy your tongue scrapers from MB Optimal Oral Care on optimaloralcare.au and show MB some support. Show them some love. They're a good business. Let's bear with me for one more second. Rightio. Thank you for watching, guys and girls. And yeah, we're going to build it up next year. We'll get a bigger following, and hopefully the Knights, mate, we storm into the top 4 and we show up and we end up in prelims, grand finals, and contend for the premiership. That's about all I've got to say. I was really I listened to a few couple of these songs, the intro and the outro, before the pod, and it got me a bit emotional. I really love this outro song that's going to be played at the end, mate. So we're going to jump off the screen, and I'm going to encourage everyone listening to sing it out loud. The outro, Newcastle Knights. Long live the Newcastle Knights. Thanks, James. 2024 has been great. 2025 is going to be even better. Let's go.
Thanks, mate. See you next time.
Thanks, mate. Long live the Newcastle Knights. Here we go.
Up the Knights.
Like brothers in arms, we're more than a team. In the heart of a city, we wear on our sleeves for the red and the blue. Till the end we will fight. Sing long live the Newcastle Knights. Long live the Newcastle Knights. Long live Newcastle Knights, for the red and the blue. Till the end we will fight, singing long live the Newcastle Knights. From the beach to the city and right up the hunter, we grow up with dreams of wearing the jumper, to play for our families, to play for our mates, and bring home the glory, whatever it takes. Like brothers in arms, we're more than a team. In the heart of a city, we wear on our sleeves for the red and the blue. Till the end we will fight, singing long live the Newcastle Knights. Long live Newcastle